And welcome to another edition of the New Sports Outlaws podcast. As always, I am Neil and this is Dan. And Dan, the jersey and the picture behind me are just a joke. But there is a lot of news in baseball, even though it is not baseball season. And I'm assuming we're going to start there after you say your hello. Hello, Daniel. How are you?
Hello, hello. And yeah, you wouldn't think during this time of year that we would be leading off with off-season baseball, especially with football going on, basketball going on, hockey going on. But we are going to start with Juan Soto and the big news from
Juan
there.
Soto!
Yeah, so basically, obviously, Juan Soto to the Metropolitans, and his giant 15-year, $765 million. I got that right, I think. And yeah, you can start with reactions. Go ahead. What do you think?
So 15 years, 765. It can escalate to 805 if I've listened to and heard all of the possible stipulations. I actually think it could be higher than 805. I think 805 is just if he opts out. I also heard today there's stuff in the contract that they put out there today that he can get another $1 million bonus for every MVP he wins. And so there's a lot in there that can get him even more money. But I think 805 is just a yearly salary. If he opts out, he can get 55 a year instead of 51, which would give him $4 million more a year over the 10 years. Um, then the Yankees offered 16 years, 760 million, but that's where it capped out. Apparently, they didn't want to give him a suite, whatever. I don't think that's the reason he's not there. I don't know if that was the line in the sand. I can't believe Hal went that high to begin with. Um, and uh, and I don't. I was not one of the Yankee fans that thought that we had to bring him back. No questions asked. I know he is an absolute great player. I know he's top three players in the league. At worst top five. Um, and I would have loved him back, but I knew how much it was going to cost, and I know that the way Hal has done business lately, he didn't seem like he was going to do anything else past that. I told people that I work with, I go, I have no doubt if the Mets signed him. This was before they signed. The Mets signed him. The Mets would not be done. The Mets would do more, and the pocketbook wouldn't stop them. I have no doubt, conversely, that if the Yankees had signed him to $760 million, there would be nothing done in free agency, at least elsewise. Maybe you would have get what we just got, which was the Loizaga signing, and maybe you get a trade here or there, but it would have been the Brian Cashman blue light special deals. Ooh, this Rule 5 guy, this guy that's hanging on by a thread. So I'm not gonna say yay, Juan Soto's gone, but I'm still cautiously optimistic here. I think it's time for Brian now to make some moves.
Yeah, this is Cashman's opportunity to show that he is a. I mean, we already know that he's a really good GM, but this is his opportunity to kind of reintroduce himself to that. I think lately, especially with some fans lately, they've kind of been turning them off, especially with some of the signings. I mean, besides Aaron Judge, who was great to resign, I know Hal got involved with that. Some of his signings between the whole who was Joey Gallo's trade, that whole thing with that, the whole thing with pitchers that we've gotten, Sonny Grays, all that stuff that we've been trying to get. There's people that can't play in New York, kind of thing,
Donaldson.
and I think this was more. This wasn't even a Cashman Stearns thing. This was just a Hal and Cohen thing, and Hal had a cap, and Cohen didn't. I think that's really what it came down to. Because if you look at just the money, obviously it looks similar, and I still think I know it ends up being $40 million, but I think it's similar. But then you hear about the suite, then you hear about I'm sure there's other stuff in there. Then you hear about the MVP bonuses, which I think is impossible for him to get. I think actually but that's another thing with Otani in the National League. But um, I think this was Steve Cohen put it. He did it like I remember us talking at the very, or at least Yankee fans talking at the very beginning of the year, and we were talking high fives. I think for Soto, high 500 million, and then we got into the sixes, but we didn't even dream about seven, or it kind of got up to eight. Well, it's really eight, really, with Cohen's contract, and this was Cohen's. This is a lot more than baseball. This was Cohen's thing to try to have the Mets be the team in New York. I think this was his kind of push to that. He like, all right, I'm gonna get this guy. I don't really care what I have to give. Um, and I think Hal went as far as he was prepared to go. And knowing, I think it actually gives the Yankees, even though we hate losing Soto, I think it gives Yankees like, we went all the way to $765 million for Juan Soto and going to 16 years. We weren't even talking anything like that
No.
during the season. And this was Cohen's thing. And, it happened. And it is what it is. And now it's Cashman. It's got to go pivot. And we got a Max Fried. We signed him yesterday. There's obviously a lot of talks with the Yankees involved with Bregman, with Kyle Tucker trading, with Christian Walker. I haven't seen any Corbin Burns stuff, but he's got to start stacking up the roster, knowing that money's available. He kind of has to spend it now,
Yeah.
or else. I mean, so, but yeah, it's wish Soto the best of luck. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed because I thought the connection with the right field bleacher creatures and the Yankee fans and all that maybe meant a little something to him. It really didn't mean jack. And all those kind of fake smiles it seemed like he was showing, all the love and all that stuff, that kind of disappointed me a little bit because I thought that meant a lot to him, but it seemed like it didn't mean jack when it came down to it. So a little disappointed, but we move on, and the Yankees got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and you in your response to my response about Soto, you
Yeah, it was
pretty
very
much
like.
took you pretty much took every note I had on the New York Yankees for our podcast. But I will just quickly say, in your instant reaction to Max Fried, making him the highest left-handed reliever, I almost said left-handed pitcher since of all time, and he just surpassed by $1 million the David Price deal, which is a while ago. So that's insane to think that he is the highest paid lefty of all time, passing David
I,
Price.
I, I think they ended up with the whole thing with the Dodgers. I think Snell ends up getting more, but that's all deferred payments. I think Snell ended up signing for more, but I think that was all deferred stuff, so it really doesn't count. But yeah, no, go ahead. You wanted to finish? I don't know what you were saying.
No, okay. So no, I want to know what your reaction was to
No,
Freed.
he's a
You
good.
like that?
He's a really good pitcher. Obviously, he's um really good lefty. It seems like his stuff is really good. I've saw him a couple of times pitch against the Mets when he was with the Braves. Obviously, it's a little concerning with the whole forearm injury issues, but I think with the AAV average annual that he was able to get, which is only like 22 and a half, I want to say, this was just slightly higher than Severino got with AAV in terms of when he signed with the Athletics. So it won't kill us too much. 8 years is a lot, but you kind of do what you got to do with these pitchers. They want the 8 years. What are you going to say? No to 7 and 8 years? You got
Yeah.
to do what you got to do.
Yeah, my initial reaction was even before the Soto news had come out, and they were talking about the Yankees interested in Corbin Burns, interested in Tucker, interested in Roche. I liked Fried, although Roche is a little younger. I liked Fried the best out of them, and I love a lefty pitcher. I mean, I really haven't felt comfortable with any lefty pitcher as much as I felt when I grew up watching Andy Pettitte pitch all the time in Yankee Stadium. I like a lefty pitcher at Yankee Stadium. Other additions that are obviously being talked about, Tucker, and I specifically want to ask you because I know we talked about it off on the text message before we got on the podcast earlier today. Would you give up Heel for Tucker if you couldn't get any reassurances that you could talk to Tucker about extension?
We gave up a lot of pitching to get Juan Soto last year, including Michael King, who had a really good year for the Padres. And obviously, we didn't. We thought he would. I mean, we tried and we didn't work out. I don't think we can really do the same thing. I mean, like I think you said in the text, like if we give up Heel and some minor guys, just some low A guys, whatever it is, and I guess I would do that too. I mean, to get Tucker, but I think the last thing, no matter who we give up, is another Juan. The Juan Soto type. I mean, because he's a really good player. I mean,
Yeah, a little older, and he'll get less. But then, do you want to be here next year and us talking God Spears on the podcast
I'm
and talking about Tucker taking a deal from the Mets or the Dodgers and the Yankees losing out again?
Yeah, no, I don't think we can really go through that again. So, but again, why would Tucker want to sign an extension considering
He's not
what
going to
he
win.
just saw Soto? So,
Yeah,
if we don't get him, we don't get him. I would really. I know people say no. I would really like Bregman at third base, but
yeah.
yeah,
That's
go
the
ahead.
other note.
Yeah.
That's the other note I had before we got on. About 3 hours ago, I saw online posted that the Yankee interest in Bregman is real. And if I had a choice, listen, I know Bregman's going to cost money, but he's not going to cost any prospects. And it's not like Nolan Arenado will cost prospects, but he's done. I don't want to hear that. Let the Mets are looking for other moves to make. Let them. They have enough offense now. Let them get Let them get Nolan Arenado and put him at third base. I don't want to own Nolan Arenado.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, he's one of those just big names, almost kind of like Albert Pujols kind of became when he started in his last years with the Angels. But yeah, he's still again he'll be a really good defender, but he wouldn't be nowhere worth the money, the salary that he's making. Yeah.
So we talked about Yankees going in. We talked about the Yankees. We talked about the Mets a little bit going in and out of here. Just real quickly, we'll see what's going on with the Mets. The rest of this winter meetings and all this rest of this offseason. Will they bring back Alonso? I just talked about Arenado. I heard them link to Arenado as well because it's just a money thing. If you take money, the Cardinals will literally give you him for free. And then we'll see what happens with their own free agent in Minaya. I also heard about Luis Castillo's name thrown out there today. Yankees still considered to be interested. They liked him a couple years ago when they ended up losing and getting Frankie Montas. And the Mets are interested too. So I think that would be game changing for the Mets because the one thing the Mets don't have is a true ace, and he would be a true ace of that staff.
Castillo, yeah, no, he definitely would be. That's one thing they really need. I mean, I don't know if he can really could. I mean, I know Kodai Senga he was actually pretty good towards the end of last year. I remember he had a couple starts before the playoffs, and he looked pretty good. And they had that one start. I think it was his very first start in the playoffs, and he actually went like 5 innings of no runs, and then I think he got hit up a little bit against the Dodgers. But Kodai, I don't know if they can depend on him, but he's their number one guy. But after that, they still got Minaya that they got to resign.
He'd look a lot better.
Clay Holmes is their number two guy right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The Met rotation would look so much better if you could tell me there's somebody at number one and Kodai is their number two starter. I think that would look so much better.
Yeah, and then they got to worry about Alonso too down the line if they're going to resign Alonso.
Yep. Okay. And as I took my eyes off of you for a minute or two here, I changed back because the Knicks are out of the halftime break, and the Knicks are playing the Atlanta Hawks in the Cup quarterfinal. Knicks are on fire lately, 7-3 in their last 10. They're 2-1 since we talked last on the podcast. I personally think they are just starting to get healthy. Princess Chua is back, and he gives a different dynamic and another big to come off the bench. And don't look now, but I am hearing reports that Mitchell Robinson's at least starting to amp up workouts. The thought was maybe he'd be back by January-ish, maybe early February.
Yeah, no, they are looking. They're looking a lot better. They're kind of glowing. And what surprised me, and I know I said this right before we started, Carly Towns has been a monster on the boards, and that's something I really didn't expect. I mean, I know he's 7 feet tall, but I mean, I was expecting like I guess I was kind of blinded by him having Rudy Gobert in it for a couple of years, but him getting, it's not like 8, 9, 10, he's getting like 15, 16, 18 rebounds. And I mean, you're really the one watching more of the Knicks games, but I mean, his points, we know he was going to score, but his rebounding's been a monster. Yeah, they've taken a little bit of they've taken advantage of their soft schedule a little bit. They've had let's look at the schedule now. Actually, they had the Hornets, they had the Pelicans, they have the Magic without Banchero, the Hornets, the Raptors. They did lose to the Pistons, but we're not going to win them all. And they're looking good against the Hawks right now. So in the NBA Cup, so looking good right now. Yeah, They're 15-9, I want to say. So they're looking pretty good. They're climbing up the standings, and that's kind of their goal is to kind of get to that top, I guess, 2 or 3 seed, and maintain and go to the playoffs and get to Boston and go to war.
So Daniel, in our podcast rules that we have are unwritten rules, kind of like the rules for wedding crashing by one of our favorite movies, The Wedding Crashers. We both have our 1 minute segments, so I will open the floor to you since we're talking basketball first. And your Brooklyn Nets are 1-1 since we talked last, and as of tonight, see themselves as the 8th seed if the playoffs were to start. And I open it to you. What do you say about your Nets?
Yeah, we haven't even played a game. I think like the last, so we played on Monday. We lost to Milwaukee, which we were really close, and it was a good game again. And then we don't play again until Friday. We've had all these days off, but then I think our podcast was last Wednesday, and then they haven't only played 2 games since. But yeah, no, we're going to be a tough team. And just lately, I'm not want to talk about the team really, but we kind of been in trade rumors last couple days. Seemingly that says we're kind of open for business in terms of Schroeder, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith kind of being thrown out there. Yeah, no, the only one I would be kind of hesitant on would be Cam Johnson. I really like Cam Johnson, just as a person, a player, a vet. He's not really making that much money. He's only got a 4-year, $100 million, I think, which really isn't that much. And he's averaging 20 a game. You never thought you'd see that from him. But I think we're going to end up waiting till, I think, December 15th, which is that day where players who just got signed this year can start being traded. So I think we'll wait till then. We're going to be sellers. It just depends on. Well, I think Finney-Smith is definitely gone, no matter whatever it is. And it depends on, I guess, where I rank between Schroeder. I think Jordy Fernandez really likes Schroeder. Big international kind of feel there. But yeah, I think we got the right coach, going in the right direction, and we'll see where we go from there.
You went over by 30 seconds. I'm kidding.
All right. I could
So
have went for a half hour.
I'll go for only 30 seconds to talk about hockey. The Rangers are a dumpster fire. They just traded their captain, which was inevitable. They should have traded him in the offseason. They handled it wrong. They waited until the season started. They got off to a quick start, so nobody said anything. And then as they've been struggling lately, it's gotten more and more become more and more of a story. And he's gone. And they got really nothing for him. They are in a free fall. They're 2-8 in their last 10. So we'll see what happens there. Hockey changes quick. They can make a couple moves at the deadline, but as of right now, they are on the struggle bus, to say the least. And speaking of the struggle bus, let's move to the NFL. Daniel, I want to start with a story of heartache and loss and depression as it sets in, which our significant others never totally understand what we are going through when we talk about how much angst we get and anxiety from our fantasy football. So, Daniel, take it away.
I don't even know where should I start. I mean, we could probably we could skip Giants and Jets because I can go on this for a long time. All right, well, Neil, I'm going to leave it to you. Where should I start at the beginning of Week 14? Should I start on Sunday night? Should I start on Monday night? Where would you like me to start the story from?
Give me and our listeners a quick 30 seconds to a minute on
30, 40
what
seconds.
what led up to this, and then give me the Sunday and Monday night and the build up and the hope and the heartbreak.
All right, so we are in our fantasy league. 8 teams make the playoffs. I heard before last week, Week 14, I was holding down the 8th spot, but tied with the 9th seed at the time, and I was 20 points up going into the week. This other person that we have in our league had Josh Allen. Josh Allen, as most of you probably already know, went absolutely bonkers and had 6 touchdowns against the Rams, who they ended up losing to. So we'll kind of go to the standings. So basically, going into Monday Night Football. So it was the Cowboys against the Bengals. I had Jamar Chase going, and the 9th place team had Jake Ferguson. And I needed from Jamar Chase, I believe I needed 38 fantasy points, I want to say. So I needed 38 from fantasy from Jamar Chase, which is, for most of you that already know, is absolutely going bonkers. And he's done it before. So we'll just skip. He's had a really good game up until about the fourth quarter. We're at about 12 receptions for like 100 and something yards. He had a touchdown at the time. So I'm down 12, I want to say. And for those of you that didn't watch the game, there was a block punt. The Cowboys and the Bengals, they were tied up at 20 at the time. It was at the 2-minute drill, actually. The Bengals were actually punting the ball, and my hope is all lost. It's like, all right, it's done. I lost by 12. Jamar had 30 points. Good try, Jamar. So then they blocked a punt, and then the Cowboys decided to not know the rules of football. And after that block punt, I don't know, I want to name the guy. I don't know what his name was. It doesn't even matter what his name is. He's probably not on the team this week. So we decided to touch a punt. Otherwise, basically, it was a block punt, and the Cowboys got touched it, and the Bengals got the ball back. So with about a minute and 15 seconds left, the Bengals are at the 40-yard line. And all of a sudden, Joe Burrow throws a nice pass right out to Jamar Chase, and he takes it to the house. I'm like, oh my goodness. Me being a math guy, I was trying to do the math in my head. I didn't know what was going on. So for the first time this year, what I did was I actually went to my laptop. Because for those on the laptop that you don't know, on the laptop, they actually give you projections on the next week. Like they actually do the addition of total, like the stat tracker. They actually give you like who has more points, and they add up the points already. So I go up on there in the laptop, and I'm like, holy crap. With 1 minute, I am ahead by 0.05 points. Jamar Chase did it. Oh my effing goodness. Then I'm standing up in my living room, pacing around. Everyone's sleeping. I can't be screaming. I got kids in the house. I got a wife in the house. I can't be screaming. 11 o'clock at night. Maria, if you're listening now, you're listening to the story. They're all sleeping. So I'm wishing. 1 minute left. Cowboys are going down the field. Nothing's going on. And then at 3rd and 27, it was about 40 seconds left. Cooper Rush drops back and decides to throw across the field to Jake Ferguson for a 15-yard catch. And just like that, with 40 seconds left in the second to last play of the game, it was over. And the 9th place team became the 8th place team, and I am no longer in the playoffs. And the amount of jubilation, the roller coaster ride to heartbreak, it was a lot to go through. I was cursing off Neil in our chat, who was trying to make me feel better and tell me about his brother. Oh, my brother didn't make the playoffs by 0.5 points, 0.8 points, whatever the hell it was. And then he was telling me, he's like, yep, it compares to you. And I'm like, screw that, F that. It doesn't matter. I don't care what bad beats anybody goes through for the rest of forever. I will always have the bad beat of the DiNapoli Invitational. So there's my heartbreak story, and there it is to hear.
You know, I mean, I personally, if I was in your shoes, I would have felt the same exact thing. I think that what got you most about the whole situation was you went in, oh, maybe I got a 5% chance, a 2% chance. And then as the night went on, you're like, oh, he's doing good, but it's just not enough. He's not having an epic night. And you were like, I'm going to finish just that far away. And then he's like, oh my God, I'm winning. Oh my God, I'm winning. Two, done. You're like,
And
you got to
it
be
wasn't even like it lasted a
kidding me.
quarter. 5 minutes later.
Yep. I hear you. I hear you. And that sucks. And it's a bad beat. And I've had bad
No,
beats, but
no,
I don't
no,
think
no, no,
no,
no, no. I don't want to hear
I'm
it.
about to finish.
No.
I'm about to finish. I've had bad beats. I don't think I've had a bad beat like that. So I get your frustration and your anxiety over it. You showed me some screenshots of you talking with your wife, and
That's I don't get it.
we're not alone, Danny, because for everything I see online, guys are the same way. It doesn't need to be $1,000 each team type of league. You know, $50 leagues, $100 leagues, where you're only going to win at most $1,000, and it still breaks our spirit to watch losses like that and have it ripped away from us. So, I get you. You want me to move on? Okay.
Now we can
I'll move
we
on.
can talk
I'll
more
move,
depression and
I'll
talk
move on
about
to good stuff. You ready? Ready for this? You ready for good stuff?
the Jets.
Tommy DeVito is back for the New York Giants. Let's rejoice. Yeah. They're gonna get shellacked this week. I don't even look at the line yet. Whatever it is, give me
Um,
Baltimore minus the points. On our pick segment. In a couple days.
I think I actually saw it went up by 2 points when they figured out that Locke was in a boot and that DeVito was starting. So I think it went from like 14 to minus 16.
Listen, I know I'm high on Tommy. I don't think he'd be anything better than a backup quarterback, but Drew Lock's awful. So that's to me that's terrible. And the one thing you can look at from Tommy's starts, he doesn't turn the ball over all that much. Drew Lock is a turnover machine. He would throw interceptions and get sacked constantly and fumble the ball. So it's a better thing he's in a boot, but I still think the Giants lose by 20.
Yeah, you can't just insert him in and expect anything different. Ravens are kind of playing a little bit now. They're 8-5 now, so they kind of need to make a statement a little bit. And unfortunately, the Giants may be that example that Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. One of them's going off. I don't know who it's going to be, but it'll be one of them that goes absolutely bonkers.
So the Knicks had gone up to a 10-point lead, and now they're down 4. So we'll see what happens here. Atlanta is just one of their nemesis. They just, I have
It's
obviously been
Yeah,
paying,
Trey Young.
I've been paying attention to our podcast and looking down every once in a while. But yeah, Trey Young, I saw hit a 3 before. I hate him. He's a jerk. Anyway,
Yeah, he's pretty hateable.
let me give you a little synopsis of the New York Jets. They suck. Their offense sucks. Their coaching sucks. Their defense sucks. Their special teams doesn't suck so much, but overall they suck. Aaron Rodgers on McAfee is more interested in talking about the drones flying over the state of New Jersey and New York than he is talking about his football team. So that's it gives you an idea of how the Jets are going. But you know how the Jets could help the Giants this week, Daniel?
Yeah, go ahead. They need to win.
By letting the Jacksonville Jaguars win so that the Giants can slide
Um,
right in front of them for
oh,
that first spot. So that right as of right now, due to the strength of schedule, the Giants are ahead of them. But with tiebreakers and stuff, Jacksonville could slide back in front of them. The Giants, I think, have one less win than them, but we don't know how the rest of the season is going to play. I want as many teams around the Giants to win as possible.
At least you know though that no matter what, Jacksonville's not drafting a quarterback. So even
Yeah.
if it came from the number 2 pick that you need to get, I mean, obviously I know if Jacksonville will be shopping the number 1 pick. That's something you got to obviously worry about a little bit. But there's got to be more than one quarterback that you're kind of looking at. Whether it's Shador Sanders or Cam Ward or whoever else is out there that's gonna, someone's gonna jump up during the combine and become like a top 5, top 10 pick just because it's a quarterback position. So yeah, no, this is kind of what we're looking forward to with football now. Even the Cowboys are kind of done now. So just looking at the season, just looking at just JETS, just end the season, and just
Yep.
play up here.
So I did forget to mention when I was talking about the Giants, and that'll get me into my NFL headlines here. There is a known, I don't know if he's an agent, he's connected to the sports scene in Miami. His name is Shapiro. He was arrested a while ago for a Ponzi scheme like Madoff, and he's out of jail. But he was on a podcast just the other day. I want to say it was Adam Pac-Man Jones' podcast, and he said that he has it from very good sources. The Giants are drafting Cam Ward. And it doesn't matter if they finish first or second with the stink that Dion's putting up. The Giants are going to draft Cam Ward, and they're going to bring his offensive coordinator from Miami to the Giants to kind of help out Dable and build up Cam Ward. If that's the case, that's fine with me. I would love to see the Giants, if they end up getting the first pick, do what Eli did to the Chargers. Go out and draft Shador Sanders and say, oh, the Raiders have a second pick or a third pick. Well, go out and draft Cam Ward, and then you can give us compensation to swap picks, kind of like Rivers and Eli in reverse. The JV coach I coach with, he brought that up to me. I hadn't seen that online yet, and then after he told me, I went and looked, and sure enough, I found somebody online who was floating that theory. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you got to do to again, I'd kind of been on this train that Dayball needs to have a chance to get his quarterback. And Cam Ward is a big guy. I was able to watch their ACC championship game actually last Saturday when they played against, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago when they got kicked out against Syracuse. I want to say. I forgot that Ohio State quarterback that went to Syracuse. That he transferred over to Syracuse 2 years back. McCord, Kyle McCord or someone, whatever. He was
Okay.
a really good quarterback at Ohio State. He was a freshman, and he got transferred to Syracuse. Anyway, his one game I watched, he looks really good. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's very mobile, obviously. And if Dable again, he doesn't. They may not win another game the rest of the year, but and it's going to look bad. But he needs to get a chance. You can't just go firing somebody and bringing in somebody else that you have no idea what's going on. Give him a shot. I know it's hard. I know everyone's going to. A lot of people are probably going to be in the majority saying to fire Dayball and get rid of Shane. 2-15 is hard. I know, but they bought a lot of people bought up Dan Campbell and what he went through his first couple of years in Detroit. I think they started. I think they were 1-15. I want to say his very first year. And obviously Detroit Lions are nothing but they're not the laughing stocks anymore. But I'm
Mhm.
not saying Dable's going to be that. But give him his quarterback, give him a couple of years, and then make a decision on him.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And I've been saying that all along. I think that that Dayball and Shane need to be able to draft their own quarterback. Uh, they kind of got forced into signing Jones with what was out there and what their options were. So I'd give them another 3 years to be perfectly honest. I hate this fire back. Just give them 3 more years, and if they don't do it, then you get rid of them and you start over then. But I'd let them draft their own quarterback. Speaking of quarterbacks, there's a controversy and some turmoil, which we've heard of before, in wonderful, beautiful Philadelphia. I hate that place. I hate all their teams. And I know that none of us in our fine group really love Jalen Hurts. But there's a little beef between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown.
Yeah. The Why can't winning ever be enough? I mean, they've won nine. I think nine straight. I want to say it's been nine straight. And it seems like AJ Brown is just being the diva wide receiver that we kind of know who he already is because he can't handle Saquon Barkley getting all the love and Hurts is getting all his TDs from the 1 yard line. And they still have Devontae Smith and they still had Dallas Goedert. He's just not getting his targets like he's getting, and he's just complaining about it. And I mean, I don't even know what to. I mean, that's something that the head coach needs to go, and I don't know if they even respect him really. But this is something that I mean, they have too much talent. You got to be okay with winning. And I'm on. If it was Jalen Hurts, and what's he supposed to do? I mean, what do you want me to
Pass it to me more. I don't care if we win or lose. That's pretty much what it
do?
comes
Yeah.
down to. Bill to North Carolina. I No one saw this coming. Even when he interviewed, everybody's like, "Oh, he's just doing it as a favor." And now the theory is he did this to set up a team, set up a staff, and then if there's something in his contract that says he can bolt for the NFL if anybody calls, and he has it in his contract that his kid takes over for him. So what happens if somebody calls that didn't realize they were going to need Bill Belichick and calls in a couple of months from now, and in March or April, is he already set up the staff and then his kid just takes over? But I don't know. Maybe his girlfriend wants to get another bachelor's degree.
This is just this is just obvious. The most obvious maybe form of nepotism that's out there. I mean, I don't blame Bill for what he's doing. I mean, I guess we would all do the same thing. I mean, his son is like a D coordinator in Washington, the University of Washington, I believe, right now. So it's not like he's a nobody out there, but you know, he set up his son, and North Carolina is trying to hold Deion Sanders thing with Colorado in terms of selling tickets and all that stuff. I mean, he's not going to be that kind of guy that Prime is with Colorado, but it seems like it's more of a money grab and a business move than anything.
Yep. And I have two more things on the NFL. One, how before I'll end with that question. The one thing I will say is I think the best game looking at the schedule this week is, and I don't think we would have said this, no matter what we think about Hurts and the turmoil, the Pittsburgh Philadelphia game, I think, on the schedule is the best game of the week.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. Yeah, in-state rivalry. I mean, not really rivalry, in-state, matchup. And yeah, this is Pittsburgh, another kind of reason for Pittsburgh to start maybe taking them seriously. I mean, and I don't think people are really taking them seriously yet. Maybe because it's just Russell Wilson. I guess that's maybe it. They know they have the defense. They know they're. I mean, I think it's just the offense, and it's just another opportunity for the Steelers to kind of say that we're here, and it's not just the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens. It's they're involved in that mix too.
I would have loved to end this podcast on a positive note, but I will end it on a realistic note. Please tell me how Jerry Jones excuses not firing Mike McCarthy after he loses to Carolina this week.
He only has one. He only has 2 games left. What is he? What does it matter? What was he? He has 2 games left.
Danny, I don't know if you've heard. I saw rumors online that he could get kept. McCarthy could be back next year.
Yeah, supposedly I've heard a lot of the players, including like Micah Parsons, who obviously needs to get a new contract, be positive about Mike McCarthy and having him back. Yeah, no, I don't think. I mean, I would not like that. And yeah, I think it's more Jerry Jones, if anything. It seems like we've been trying coach after coach after coach after coach, and Jerry Jones seems to be that common denominator. That's just sucking.
Yep. The problem is you. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Anyway, Danny, I had a good time this week, and actually went a lot longer than I thought we were going to. We were starting it off, and we were done baseball in 10 minutes. I was like, oh my God, we're going to be done this podcast in 20 minutes. But we went our normal 35 to 40 minutes. And
yeah, I won't have a fantasy football rant to go through next week. I think that was the
it was
longest
worth
part of it.
every second of it. I love drinking your tears. No, I'm kidding. So we'll be back next week. And obviously we'll figure out between the two of us what our schedule is with the holidays. But we'll definitely get on, even if it's for
Oh yeah, Christmas is
short
on a
ones.
Wednesday this year, right? Yeah, we'll
Yes.
figure it. Yeah, so we'll figure it out between
Yep.
Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah, keep following, keep liking, keep subscribing. Looking for new followers, new comments every single day. All right, so we'll keep doing it twice a week. So until next time, I'm Danny. This is Neil. Signing off.